Hey everybody, how's it going? It's Jiva and welcome back for a new reading vlog. So today is actually January the 13th, which falls once again on a Friday. So today is Friday the 13th. And like I did once before, I actually really want to dedicate this day and probably the rest of the weekend to reading some witchy books. So this is actually part 3 of me, part 3 of me reading some witchy romances. I have a couple of books on my radar that I've been really excited to actually jump into. So first I'm gonna tell you about the audiobook that I actually want to listen to. It's called The Witch Haven by Sasha Peyton Smith. And this book just sounds amazing. It's actually 1918 New York. We have a young woman called Frances and she is a seamstress until one day she actually ends up like above a dead body with her seamstress scissors inside the man's neck. So she seems to be the murderer, or is she? We don't really know, because after that she's actually shipped off to like a sanitarium being told that she's like deathly ill. But when she arrives at the sanatorium, she actually realizes it's a school for witches. Apparently there is also a secret order thing that actually gets involved in Frances's education, or I don't know. And it just sounds like it's gonna be a really good time. I have seen a couple other people talk about this book before and they had great things to say about it, so I'm actually really interested in it. There also seems to be a big aspect of romance in it, which I am looking forward to. Like, one of my favorite things that I've discovered in 2022 are witchy romances. So hopefully there's gonna be a little subplot of romance in there as well. Then the other book that I actually hope to read is The Witches of Moonshyne Manor. So this is by Bianca Marais. In here we actually follow a whole coven of witches, but the witches are actually facing quite a big problem because they are so behind on their mortgage payment that there's an angry mob outside of their house called a moonshine manor. So the leader of the coven, a woman called Queenie, actually decides to save their coven. She makes a deal with like a very powerful but evil force. Then we also have another character called Ruby, who's like a newcomer to the coven or a returnee to the coven. And the witches expecting her are very hopeful that she's actually bringing along a solution to their little problem. And then there's also another character mentioned, a woman named Persephone, who is a TikToker determined to smash the patriarchy. So, like, there's honestly a lot going on in the summary on the back of the book. So I'm not entirely sure what to expect from the story, but some things that I'm expecting is just a lot of women kind of supporting and trying to save themselves, trying to smash the patriarchy, apparently, and some witchiness. So yeah, that's pretty much all I know about the story, but I'm really excited to be jumping into it. And this is actually gonna be the book that I'm gonna start it off with. I think I'm gonna jump into this one first, save the audiobook for later when, you know, I get a little bit more tired, so it's gonna be easier to listen to the audiobook. Might even check if this book is also available as audiobook on Scribd, because that would just make life a lot easier. Whoever invented audiobooks, honestly, kudos, man. You are my favorite person in the world. Audiobooks, a very handy thing. Okay, everybody, I do have a reading update. But honestly, I am so freaking confused right now. I've been reading The Witches of Moonshine Manor. I'm currently on like chapter 30. So that's page 170 something. It's so weird. It's so weird. I've never been so weirded out by a book because it's simultaneously kind of good. Like, it's kind of good. I love the storyline. We have these witches in there, like, they're like older characters. They're in their 60s, 70s, 80s, 90s. Like, only one of the characters' age has really been confirmed, and she's a 90-year-old witch. And the other characters aren't really that much younger, but we haven't really had like their age confirmed. But they are older ladies, which you don't really see often in literature. So I actually really love that this witchy book took the take. You know, we have these older ladies who are basically like a found family. They have all had sucky upbringing and sucky families that basically abandoned them, so they ended up coming to this house together called the Moonshine Manor. It's kind of the house that brought them together and helped them connect and stuff like that. So yeah, they have beautiful relationships. They are basically a family, you know. They have their ups and their downs. They love each other, they hate each other, they fight, all that stuff, you know. So it's really good. But at the same time, the writing style is just so freaking weird. I can't describe to you. It's kind of like it's giving me vibes of like a straight man in his 50s wrote this story. There is just like weird random mentions of breasts in between the story, like somebody was spilling something down their face and suddenly it was dripping onto their breasts. What was the point of mentioning breasts, honestly? And there's like some chapters end with like a little take from the Moonshine Manor grimoire, so there's like a recipe for a spell or something. And so many times it mentions how the spell is going to work better when done while being aroused. Why? Why? It's so weird, honestly. I'm weirded out by some parts of the story, but sometimes also the writing style does give me a vibe of just trying too hard, of trying too hard to be relatable, of trying too hard to have like a little cute passage or something. It's just kind of like too in your face, trying too hard, but other times it's not really doing enough. So it's a weird thing, honestly. So yeah, I kind of have a love-hate relationship with the story so far. It's entertaining enough that I'm actually gonna continue on. I hate reading this book physically. This is like the bad part. I hate reading this book physically because that means that I'm only focusing on the story and I'm just weirded out so many times. So I found the audiobook. The audiobook is actually available on Scribd. If you'd be interested in the story, you can check that out on Scribd. If you don't want to like read it physically, there's an audiobook available. So I've switched to the audiobook and it's much better because like you can do other things while listening to the audiobook. So if there's like a weird passage, you can just brush it off. You can just like let it slide or something because there's other things to focus on. But if you're just reading this physically, it's like it's right there in your face. Like the breasts are right there in your face. Like I said, there's good sides to the story, there's bad sides to the story. And then it just depends honestly on your taste, on how much of the weirdness you can actually take. So but yeah, that's it. That's all that I read of the Witchy books. I haven't started really on the Witch Haven yet, but I'm more and more excited actually to jump into the story, to kind of wash away this story a little bit. Just put a little bit more distance between myself and the Witches of Witchy Manor, because I'm seriously, it's just weird, man. That's what I'm trying to say. It's just straight up weird. Okay, everybody, so I'm finally back with another update on how my Witchy reading is going. And I just gotta admit straight off that it's not going as well as I thought it would be. But the reason actually is connected with Friday the 13th. Because the funny thing is, if you don't ask me if I believed in like the bad luck of Friday the 13th, whether I believed in the superstition, I definitely would have said no. I'm not really much of a superstitious person. But this last Friday the 13th actually gave me a lot to think about, because some really shitty things went down that I think people would consider unlucky, and it happened to like some of my family members, and it just completely messed up. One of those things I would gladly tell you about, but I'm actually not allowed to because there's a freaking police investigation currently going on. Because yes, it was that serious. We had to call the police and there's like now an investigation going on. And I just personally really hope that it gets resolved, because it was freaking, on the day that it happened, it was extremely scary, and I feel like my entire family just felt very traumatized by the entire thing. Maybe a week or possibly 10 days went by where we were barely able to function without really thinking about it. So it was messed up, man. I'm not gonna lie. And that was like the reason why I wasn't really able to read much during that week. So yeah, it's actually been a couple of weeks since I started this reading log. But yeah, I wasn't able to focus on my book at all, so I had to take a little break. And the other thing that happened was, once again, kind of unlucky, but you could just like write it off to people's stupidity, honestly. Because my brother and his girlfriend actually wanted to go shopping, so they drove to like the nearest shopping center, and just before they got there, there was like an announcement that there was a freaking bombing threat on the shopping center, so they had to evacuate because they were afraid it was gonna explode. It was freaking messed up, and we learned later on the day that it actually wasn't the only case. All three of like the major shopping centers in the country got the call that there was a freaking bomb in the center and they all had to evacuate. So yeah, it was freaking messed up. But again, like it was Friday the 13th. It could have been just like teenagers trying to be funny and doing like a prank call and then having their laughs or whatever, but yeah, it was still freaking messed up, you know? It also gives you like a lot to think about. It's mainly because of this. I actually started doing research on Friday the 13th. I've been just reading some articles online of what like the origin is and of what exactly people believe. There's actually some recommendations of what not to do on Friday the 13th. There's like stuff like not singing at the table, not dancing at the table, I believe, not to like count money, and not to have like 13 guests at the dinner table and stuff like that. And most of the reasons of why people consider Friday the 13th to be unlucky actually stems from religion. There's something from like Catholicism, from Christianity. I think Friday is considered unlucky because like Jesus died on a Friday. I saw somewhere that like 13 is like the number of the goddess, and that's why like religious people don't like that. And then also something from the Norse mythology. Yeah, this one was interesting. So like the 12 Norse gods were having dinner together until the 13 guests showed up, which was Loki, and wreaked havoc, obviously. And so the dinner kind of went to shit. So that's why you might hear somebody say like not to have 13 guests at a dinner or something, to always like set up an extra plate and even put just like a teddy bear sitting there as if he's like the 14th guest or something. So yeah, it was just funny to me, you know. There is a bunch of stuff to like read about, and it's also funny because not every single country actually believes the unlucky day and date to be the same combination. So like I think in the US, in my country obviously, and some other European countries, they believe about Friday the 13th being unlucky, but there's other combinations. I think I've read about a Thursday the 17th, maybe in France. I could be wrong about it because I've mixed up all the dates and days in my head. But yeah, different like countries can have different combinations of what day is considered to be unlucky. So yeah, but there are like 2 or possibly 3 Friday the 13th in a year. So next one this year is actually gonna be on October, which is so cool. It's gonna be October Friday the 13th, which is perfect because obviously it's like the witchy month. So I'm definitely gonna be doing another one of these reading vlogs. I'm already so excited about it. It's gonna be really cool. But I'm also mentally preparing myself in case some unlucky things once again go down. But I didn't want to ask you guys actually whether any of you guys would be interested in joining me. So there's enough time until October Friday the 13th to actually prepare some things and actually do kind of like a cool chill weekend readathon together, kind of like the Friday the 13th inspired, do some witchy reads, have some fun together. Like definitely let me know if any of you would be interested in doing something like that, so we can maybe like put something together. I don't know, I thought it would be cool. And it just so falls on an October, so I thought it would be actually perfect. But yeah, if any of you guys would be interested, definitely let me know. But yeah, those were my adventures on Friday the 13th. Fortunately, I do also have a reading update because I have now been actually able to finish a book. I have the book right there on my couch. So the book that I finished is The Witches of Moonshyne Manor by Bianca Marais. So this is the first book that I'm finishing for the reading vlog, and I actually ended up quite enjoying it. I just realized that I possibly may have ruined the book for myself with my expectations. I went into the book expecting for it to have kind of like a spooky, scary setting because the title mentions the Moonshyne Manor. I thought the Moonshyne Manor would be kind of like an entity of itself. There's gonna be like shadowy, scary corners where things are gonna jump out of and scare the main characters or something. But it just ended up being kind of like a very homey, a very cozy, familiar place to the main characters. You know, it's the place where they bonded and grew old together and became a family. So there was nothing really scary about it, to them at least. And then the other thing I was expecting was just more like autumnal vibes. I don't know, I just think of witches, I think of autumn, so I was immediately expecting for there to be like kind of like a picturesque town. And I think I was just expecting it to be more kind of like the witchy books that I've read so far, like the Irregular Witches book, then the Kiss Curse and the Ex-Hex and that kind of thing, you know. But it was very different from that. It's more about family and relationships and acceptance and growing closer together with the people that you care about and that kind of thing, you know. It's definitely more about the family of witches that we followed, and really anything scary, spooky, or yeah, the book doesn't go in that direction at all. So I think that's why I felt a little bit let down. But yeah, another thing, I actually really appreciate the author's note in the end here, because she talks about how the ladies in this book are actually inspired by the women that she lives and works with. So even like all the nakedness mentions and being very sincere and honest about their own bodies actually is inspired by the ladies that the author actually works and lives with. So I just found that really, really cool. So yeah, it's just realistic representation, and I was judging it, and I feel really bad about it. So, yeah, but I do love the characters. I love how they care for each other. I love the relationship so much. I was just really rooting for them the more that it was revealed about how they met, about all the things that they've done, about all the things they're willing to do for each other. They are one very precious family that I just wanted to protect, and I was really rooting for them to actually come out on top in the end. So yeah, I did end up enjoying it a lot. It's definitely not like a new favorite. There's definitely other witchy books that I've enjoyed more, but I would definitely recommend this one to people who kind of love the found family trope and who wouldn't mind reading about some ladies who still kick ass even though they're mainly in their 80s and 90s. So yeah, very, very good. I also wanted to let you know that I've started The Witch Haven by Sasha Peyton Smith. So I started this book. I'm not far into it. I'm only 6 chapters into the story, but so far it's actually been pretty interesting. I love the main character. I love the world, and I very much want to learn more about it. The main character obviously is still in the dark right now, so she's still kind of affected by her brother's death. She's affected by her first outburst of magic, which actually caused somebody's death. I highly doubt anybody's actually gonna mourn the death of that man because he was a disgusting pig, but you know, the main character still feels a lot of emotions because of everything that happened. And the Witch Academy, so the Hexhaven Academy. I kind of love the setting, and I love how straight away we're kind of shown or hinted at that we can't really trust this school or like the staff and the people here, that they may not actually be trustworthy. It makes me so curious about the book, and it makes me definitely want to just continue reading and dive more into it. I'm also curious to finally learn more about this character Finn, who appears in the main character's Francis's dreams. I want to learn more about this order that is mentioned in the summary. So yeah, it has me very curious. The beginning, like the summary already had me hooked, but the beginning and the introduction to the story just kind of solidified that, and now I am fully hooked on the story and just want to learn more. I'm gonna give you another update when I actually have read more of the story. I will probably continue on today, but right now I just wanna, oh my god, there is a show I've been watching that I've been dying to tell you about. It's like a witchy show. It's called The Good Witch. It's not airing anymore. It was, I think it finished in 2022 actually. It was like a Hallmark show, and it was also kind of like a movie series. It's this really big franchise, I feel like, that I had no idea existed until last year when I first started watching it. I'm now already, I haven't seen the movies yet. I didn't know the movies existed until I was on like season 3 or 4 or something of the show. So then it was already too late to actually check out obviously the movies before watching the TV show. So I think I'm just gonna finish the TV show and then go back and watch the movies. Possibly watch the TV show again, because it's not good. I'm not gonna say it's good. I feel like the writing of the show is kind of cringy, and it makes for some very awkward moments between the characters of the show. But there's something about it that is so addictive. So yeah, I've been hooked ever since I started it. I think I started it last year, and now I'm already on season 6. So I literally just like started season 6 this week. It's just really good. I love the characters. Abigail and Martha are definitely my 2 favorite characters of the show. They definitely, like, they steal the show entirely. I love Cassie obviously and all the like other characters, but there's something about Abigail and Martha, especially when Abigail and Martha are together. It's just so freaking funny. They're like the comedy duo. And yeah, I'm kind of loving this season because we're focusing more on Abigail and her relationship and solving her little curse problem. So yeah, it's just really good. And I like how it's not like a very obviously witchy show. Like, I watched Charmed a while back, the like renewal. I think even in one of these reading vlogs, the witchy reading vlogs, I said I was gonna watch Charmed. You know, that show is very in your face witchy. They do like flashy magic, but with The Good Witch, it's more of like, Cassie just has like an enhanced intuition, and the same for the other Merrywicks. You know, they don't really do like flashy magic. It's more that they just have this really like super intuition or something. So yeah, I find it just really cool. I don't know, I like the show. I like the autumn vibes. I like how obsessed they are with Halloween. So I love it a lot. And I don't know how the hell I was able to miss it before. I'm kind of really sorry that I wasn't a part of it as it was airing. And now it's over. They finished it off with season 7. I'm excited to see how everything wraps up. But yeah, it's precious, you know, it's very precious. Okay, so actually the main reason why I love this season, season 6 of The Good Witch, so much is because Donovan and Abigail are definitely carrying the season. Oh my god, everything I feel like, or most of the show, most of the season is about their relationship at the moment, and I'm living for it. It's just genuinely every time I see them together on screen, it's giving me such like a flutter in here. I feel all warm and fuzzy. It's like reminding me of those days, of like those teenage days when I was fangirling over all these like fictional couples from TV shows. Like, remember the Vampire Diaries days, the Teen Wolf days, the freaking Pretty Little Liars days. Like, that was obsession at its peak, and I loved every single second of it. And now I'm just kind of reliving those moments through Abigail and Donovan. Like, Donovan is such a freaking sweetheart, and he's exactly what Abigail has been waiting for and wanting. And I hope that they can give each other what they want in life. You know, Abigail has been through a lot. She's unfortunately been through a lot of failed relationship in the show already, so I'm glad that now she's finally met somebody who just seems to really have the intentions that she's been looking for with her, you know? He's gonna stick around, he's not gonna leave her, he's ready to settle down with her and have a life together, you know? That's what she's been hoping for. She's just been looking for somebody to settle down with and you know, leave her roots or something. So I think they are that for each other. So I can't help but root for them every second of the show, and I hope to see them happy by the end of the season. Like, I genuinely hope they get married. I really love the way The Good Witch does like weddings. It all looks so beautiful and majestic, and like, I feel like they will always cater to the characters. I think Abigail and Donovan's wedding would be so beautiful. I do also have a reading update because I've made some progress with The Witch Haven by Sasha Peyton Smith, and I'm about to start chapter 21. So far, I gotta say it's a pretty enjoyable story. It's not overly complicated. Like, what I mean is that there is not really too much going on. It's a very simple, straightforward story. We have a bit of a mystery with the missing brother, or like the brother who has died. You know, we're trying to figure out what exactly happened to him. We have the magic, which seems pretty, again, straightforward. There's nothing really complicated about it. Each you know, person that's born with magic excels at some form of magic, like whether that be seeing the future or feeling the magic when somebody is using it, or like the main character seems to have a bit of an affinity of controlling things, especially controlling like people and their bodies. So I'm very curious where exactly this is going to go. But I gotta say, I'm also just a little bit let down because this is a story where we have the main setting of the story is a magical school. And I don't know how the author isn't really taking advantage of exploring more of this. Like, we barely know the school and stuff. It was funny to me because in the recent couple of chapters, the main character, Frances, mentioned how she doesn't know whether she'd be able to leave the Hexagon Academy because it's become to feel so much like a home. But me, I haven't really felt that for her yet. There's barely been any parts of the story where we would actually see the main character connecting to the school. Even with the friends that she's made at the school, I feel like their relationship hasn't really developed enough yet to really be considered friends. They feel more like roommates, you know, people who were thrown together and are now kind of forced to like be together and talk and hang out and stuff. I don't really feel the friendship yet, even though they're already throwing around the words I love you. So everything just feels a bit underdeveloped is what I'm getting at. But like, it's not bad. I'm not saying that. It's definitely not bad. I really like it. I can't wait to actually, like, the thing is that it is addictive enough that I'm really curious for what's gonna happen next. I do want to know what happened to William, which is Frances's brother, and I want to learn more about Finn. He's so far been quite a mysterious character. Like, we do learn a little bit more about him, but there's something about the way he treats the main character Frances that's just suspicious to me. I think there is more to their relationship than what he's letting on. I don't know, it's just giving me, honest, the first thing that I thought of was like soulmates. I'm personally a sucker for a soulmate story, and if it turns out there's something about a relationship that's like soulmatey or something, I'm gonna be all over it. Like, yeah, I love a soulmate story. So something suspicious going on, but there's not been enough hints to really know what exactly is going on between Finn and Frances.
bluffing. Well, it'll cost you 2 cookies to find out. I see your Bianca Marais.
Oh, an impasse? Sounds like we need a detente.
And I need my phone.
How about hello?
Hello, I really need my phone.
It's in my bag on the chair there.
Okay everybody, so it actually makes me a little bit sad to be coming here right now and say this, but I actually finished The Witch Haven by Sasha Peyton Smith and I ended up not really enjoying it. I don't really know what's happening in this reading vlog. I had really good luck with the previous witchy books that I read, but this one, like, I don't know. I think the main problem with the books, I can see objectively them being pretty good. They did a really decent job of what they promised they were going to do. I just think what ruined them for me personally was going into them with a certain expectation. Because you know when you go into a book with an expectation, like, the book can either meet it or it like doesn't meet it. But even then, when a book doesn't meet your expectations, it can mean that it exceeded your expectations, or it can mean that like it went in a completely different direction that you didn't really like. And unfortunately, I just think for me the latter happened. I don't know, like, I don't like it. I can see myself enjoying the books maybe if I had read them at some different time periods or something. So unfortunately right now I just wasn't vibing with them, which again makes me really sad, especially with the last 20% of The Witch Haven being possibly the most chaotic ending to the story that I can remember. It was like watching tennis, like just doof, 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 doof. It was so crazy. Everything that was revealed and all the tension between the characters. I am curious though about the sequel to the story, because I feel like the way we ended the story in The Witch Haven, what the heck? I need to know what's gonna happen in Hexhaven Academy in the next book. I know the sequel is already out. I think it's what is called The Witch Hunt. Oh my god, the title does give me ideas of what exactly is going to be, but yeah. I'm also like, I'm so surprised. I could not have been more wrong about some of these lovely characters in the story. Oh my goodness, the way they did a 180 all of a sudden, that was crazy. It was just chaotic at best. So the last 20% actually convinced me to read the sequel, so I'm definitely gonna be checking out the sequel as well. So yeah, that's actually not a very good note to wrap up the reading vlog on. So I actually thought this reading vlog needed a redemption arc. And I got a perfect book to do it with, because I randomly decided this morning to start a new audiobook I found on Scribd. Like, I just love discovering random books on Scribd that I've never really seen before and never heard of before, and then just like randomly listening to them. The one I started this morning is called The Librarian of Crooked Lane by C.J. Archer, which I've never heard of before, but apparently the author is a New York Times bestselling author. However, I've never personally heard about it before, but this book is freaking amazing. Like, one thing that it gives me vibes of, the thing that I immediately connected it with as soon as I started listening, was this popular beauty, Sorcery of Thorns by Margaret Rogerson. I feel like the plot line and the character relationships are similarly to what we have in Sorcery of Thorns. And even though like The Librarian of Crooked Lane doesn't really have like magical books, a lot of the story is actually set inside a library, but like the books are about kind of like magic history and magic users and magic system and stuff like that. And the magical part comes from like there being magicians and them painting magical paintings. Because the main plot of the story in The Librarian of Crooked Lane is actually about a magical painting gone missing, and then we have the main character who's called Sylvia Ash looking for it alongside a man who just came back from the war. He's called Gabe, and they're both dealing with their own personal stuff and kind of slowly becoming friends and possibly something more, while also doing this detective job together trying to retrieve the stolen painting. So it's really good. I love the main character so far, and the main character does suspect, because of a diary entry that she found in her brother's diary, that she might actually also have magic. So possibly the main character could turn out to be like a magic user in the future. But yeah, so far it's really good. I love the writing style. It feels very kind of like lighthearted. It is like set in like a historical London or something. And yeah, it has magic, it has amazing side characters, it has really good world building, it has a good magic system, which I hope we do learn more about, because now the main character does work at this library with like books on magic, so I hope we get to explore more of that. But yeah, so far really good. I think this is the perfect book for like a little redemption arc for this reading vlog. Okay everybody, so I've finished whatever's reading. I just finished The Librarian of Crooked Lane by CJ Archer or Asher? Is it Archer? Is it Asher? Hold on. I think it's Archer. The Librarian of Crooked Lane by CJ Archer. Yeah, so I just finished it and it was like, it was decent. I'm realizing now it's not really the perfect book, don't get me wrong. It's not perfect, but it's a decent introduction to the series. Because if you really look at it, there wasn't really much magic in the story. Like, we have a mystery and the mystery is kind of connected to magic, but the main character doesn't really have anything to do with magic yet. Because I do have my theories that she might actually end up learning that she does come from a magical bloodline. Like, what we learn about the main character is that she doesn't really know much about her family. She doesn't know anything about her father. Her mother never really told her anything, and her mother constantly had them moving around, kind of like she was running from something. So I personally have my suspicions that the main character has like some big news coming in the future books, and I'm really excited to actually learn more. I hope we get to explore more of the magical part of the world in future books. And yeah, otherwise I feel like this first book did like a decent job with the mystery. There's probably going to be like a plot line that's gonna be connecting all the books, because there is like a kidnap attempt in this first book that we don't really get resolved, so I think that's gonna be spanning throughout the rest of the books in the series as well. And I'm also excited about that because it's like the thing that connects the two main characters. I also really like the way the author wrote main characters. There is one in particular that was just so cool. It's like the library owner, he's Dr. something. Is he Dr. Shaw? Dr. Shane? He's Dr. something. I can't remember right now, but he is so funny to me. Like, he's the chillest boss you could ever meet. So Sylvia obviously starts working at the library, and Gabe just like randomly comes and decides that she's gonna be like spending the day with him doing detective work. And like, this doctor is just like, sure, go ahead, the work is gonna wait until the next work day or something. Like, he's so chill with her just running off and not doing the job. Honestly, I want a boss like that in the future, because he was so calm and chill. And yeah, I really like him. I think he's really funny, and I hope he's gonna be a bigger part of the story in the next books. And yeah, this also brings this reading vlog to an end finally. It's been a month, more than a month, since I started like filming this reading vlog. Then shit went down and you know, everything was messed up, so it took a little while to get through all the books on the reading list for this reading vlog, but I hope you guys enjoyed watching. Definitely let me know if you read any of the books mentioned in this video. I'd love to know your thoughts, especially on The Witches of Moonshine Manor. If you guys have read that, let me know. Let me know your thoughts, because I'm currently still like very divided. A part of me really liked the book, a part of me was just confused as heck and didn't really enjoy it. So I'm very curious what you guys might have thought about it. And of course the other two as well. Okay then, I think I'm gonna go now, and I'm gonna see you with some new videos soon. So I'm planning on doing some reading vlogs for like some of the books that have come out this year. I feel like 2023 started with such strong releases, and some of like my very highly anticipated releases. Like, we have Holly Black just dropped a new book in like the Folk of the Air series, in like the world, not the series, in like the same world, and it follows some of the same characters that we meet in that series. Then we also have like the Cassandra Clare new book, the Lee Bardugo new book. There's so many new exciting releases that I genuinely just don't know where to start, but I need to start somewhere because I'm so excited. So I think I'm gonna be reading those and filming some reading vlogs for those as well. I hope I'm gonna be seeing you very soon, and until then I hope you have a great day or night wherever you are. So yeah, till next time. Okay, bye bye.